All right, today I'm going to talk about Ayurveda and epigenetics. So many of you have heard this word, Ayurveda, and I talk a lot about epigenetics because it has to do with how we regenerate so many parts of our body. And I want to talk about what this means in our life and kind of the general concept. So it's super amazing. So epigenetics refers to the external modification of DNA that turns our genes on and off. And so, what this does is it affects gene expressions. This occurs without any changes in the DNA sequence. So, your DNA is fixed, but the science of epigenetics is shows which genes are expressed, and it's estimated that 90% of our life is controlled by epigenetics. So it's kind of a huge deal that we understand this amazing science. Um, so epigenetics is essentially gene expression changes that are brought about by what one does in life. So in Ayurveda, we talk a lot about the psychophysiological constitution, um, and how your constitution affects your expression of your genes. So, this is a super important thing to understand because let's say you live your life super stressed out all the time. And this is a really common thing. Either you have moments of like intense anxiety, stress, and all of this, or you live with kind of a low grade stress because we're constantly bombarded with information. We know the bad news that's happening all over the world. We have constant communications. There's no real off time anymore. And unless you personally have developed, a mechanism to create a boundary, what you will find is that you're always like bombarded with constant information. And if you don't have a kind of way to be resilient and how to handle that, you'll end up having kind of a low grade stress. In other words, your sympathetic nervous system, that's the fight or flight or freeze side of us, is kind of always stimulated in our modern lives. Now, if this doesn't apply to you, that's great. I know it applies to me. I mean, even just going to the grocery store some days is a monumental adventure. So this process of epigenetics, this what triggers a gene expression, actually represents karma, which is the Sanskrit word for cause and effect or action, and then kind of counteraction or what comes back from the universe. Except that when we're talking about epigenetics, we're talking about karma on the level of the cells. And there's basically four major factors that affect one's life and 90% of your gene expression. And these factors are addressed in Ayurveda for maintaining health and essentially preventing disease. So these four factors, and you probably already know this, but I'm going to drive the point home like a little bit further because it's important that we really see that it's simple, but maybe a little bit of a pain in the butt to address this. So these are lifestyle and behavior. Like, what choices do you make in the day? Big surprise there. Diet and digestion. And I promise you, the information that we have on diet and also digestive health, gut health, has been totally aberrated and twisted by the mainstream information. So a lot of the things you think are true might not actually be true. The third factor is stress, and the other is environmental factors. So lifestyle and behavior is something that you can change. Diet and digestion is kind of an extension of lifestyle and behavior, but it might require a little bit extra information. We talk about stress. This is where we found that practices like meditation, pranayama, exercise, things that kind of help to regulate stress is super important. And there's a huge amount of this in yoga and Ayurveda, and environmental factors. So if you happen to live in a place that's really toxic or an intense environment, then you would want to do some things in your lifestyle and behavior to kind of mitigate that. Like, you could move, but if you're not going to move, then you definitely want to find a way to kind of reestablish that cellular health. Okay, so basically, when we're talking about epigenetics, which is a mechanism of Ayurveda, it's one of the things that's in Ayurveda. And for Ayurveda practitioners, you live and breathe this. The West is just discovering that, hey, if we do these modifications, we can totally change the health outcomes of a person, which is not fixed. So if an individual's actions are in a positive direction, then your, in Ayurveda we call it prakriti, which basically means your gene expression, it remains balanced and health is maintained. But if you start to make actions in a negative direction, then you will see that disease and problems will start to manifest. And so this is a just a wonderful viewpoint, I think, to have on our life, so that you can see, wait a second, when I pick different things, I get a different result. But let me just explain that all of these gene expressions, they have cycles. And so what that means is that within, like, I'm going to talk a bit about the skin in a second, because that's, what I do a lot of work with. But every tissue in your body has a specific cycle of regeneration. So for tendons, it's 1 to 2 years, depending on kind of what you eat and how you handle them. Ligaments, it's also like three months to like a year and a half, again, depending on the injury. And when it comes to our skin, it's 28 to 40 days. So that's when you start to see a cellular change. And you can see an improvement in the condition, the hydration, the moisturization. You can see a stimulating effect. But when it comes to actually having the cells regenerate, you grow entirely new skin cells every 28 to 40 days. And what that means is that in that interim, there are things that you can do to kind of change the gene expression. And it's like, oftentimes I get like, I'm going to go into skin now and epigenetics and Ayurveda. So I get a lot of these like pop-ups from like, oh, here you were in, 10 years ago, you on your phone, it reminds you. And when I look back at my skin 10 years ago, what I see is I was getting a lot of the creases here. I was getting a lot of lines here. I was getting hyperpigmentation, like little age spots, kind of all of these negative gene expressions, because I wasn't doing the right things. I was really busy traveling, and now I have the luxury of having a skincare company. So I'm kind of being a product junkie. I'm in my heaven. But we want to understand that during that 28 to 40 days, if your skin is kind of growing back and it's not looking healthier, well, why? And we like to say, oh, it's just I'm getting older, but that's not true. 90% of your results in your gene expression comes down to kind of the choices you're making in that time. So this is where it's like, what's the right choices? So I talk a lot about two things, two components. So you have workouts and nutrition. So, and also stress and meditation is another aspect. But when it comes to your direct skincare, I'm hoping you have a meditation practice. If you don't, write to me. But one of the things that really helps is this gua sha tool. Now, I tend to do this 3 to 7 days a week. I love this. And some days I do really intense workouts. Other days I go just lighter and kind of move the lymphatic fluid. This is an amazing tool to kind of undo under eye bags, drooping lids, brow furrowing right here. Oh my gosh, when you're just like all day like this and you're like, no, 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 let's undo it. See, we have a way that we can undo this. And the other thing I love is the microneedling pen. So these two things work in tandem with a really good skin nutrition regimen. And now, all of the products that I've made kind of follow this idea of epigenetics. And of course, they come from Ayurveda, because it has principles of how do we nourish and regrow the skin, and no additives, no fillers, no nasty preservatives, nothing that's going to cause a degradation, which means that the entire formulation you use is all straight nutrition, actives, things that really help. Now, it really depends as to what you choose for your skin, kind of what you like. And there's a bit of an irony here. So people in Ayurveda, we call it Vata constitution, where they have more dry skin. They tend to dry out more, a little bit more busy mind, prone towards anxiety. It's a kind of, it's a one of the doshas. So people that have this constitution oftentimes need a lot more oil and hydration, but they won't like it. It's the kind of the irony is that we tend to be attracted to the things that are not always the best for us. So when you come to our skincare line, I try to kind of walk you through what is the best choices, but also what will you actually use? Because if something's too heavy and you don't like heavy feeling, even though it might be the best, you won't use it. So that's why we have a lot of options. I'm going to go through some of these so you can kind of understand how it works. I'm going to start with my favorite personal protocol. So I'm 44 years old right now. Maybe you'll see this video later. I could be a bit older. And I have naturally really dry skin. I'm prone to age spots, hyperpigmentation, and I'm very expressive, so I have to kind of do a little bit of extra workout work to not have to use Botox. So as you can see, I know I get a lot of people saying that I use Botox, but my face moves. So if I'm using Botox, it's not working. All right. So let me just talk a little bit about my personal favorite protocol. And this is for people, this will treat hyperpigmentation, wrinkles, under eye bags, age spots. It's amazing. So the first thing I use is Formula 108. This is a natural occurring retinol. It's sun safe and it's the highest percentage that exists in the entire world. So this is a treatment serum. You just need a few drops and you have to put something on top of it which has an oil in it or a lipid because it's going to burn those fats as it restructures the collagen, elastin, your structural matrix. I love this. It's an amazing product. It works with most skin types, actually. Whether you have rosacea, whether you're younger or older, hyperpigmentation, it's just going to help your skin to just regenerate, resist gravity, and restructure. And you only need a little bit. So after I put that on, I like heavier things because I have that dry skin and I'm accustomed to it. So I'll show you a protocol that's not so heavy, and this is a heavier protocol. So this is F3. This is a uh, luxury. This is like the launch the whole line. This is going to plump wrinkles, it's going to hydrate, it's going to tone tighten. It's kind of like an all-around moisturizer, wrinkle plumping, super hydration tool. It's a little bit heavier, so if you don't like heavy, I have some other things I'd recommend. I don't think it's too heavy though, but at first when you're not used to it, it's going to feel like wow, and then it'll plump out, so it's really good for the nighttime. And then I really like to put something on top of that. Now this is an eye lifting cream. This is another kind of luxury product, and I use it on my eyes, under eyes, or over eyes, and sometimes I put it on my whole face because when you wake up puffy and you're like, oh, I'm puffy, so it depuffs and it kind of tones and lifts. This is kind of a perfect combination. This is definitely for 40 and over. So for 40 and under, or if you prefer lighter products. Um, this is an amazing peptide serum. So this F107, it's a favorite for both men and women, but guys really like it because they tend to like lighter weight things. It's fast absorbing. It's going to have some of the effects of a retinol because it provides peptides, which are like they're like the tiny little, I think these are 2 to 12 molecule chains. I don't think we're doing the 15 in this. No, it's just 2 to 12 in this one. These are very tiny little molecules that are the building blocks of collagen, elastin, and all of kind of those structural proteins. So this is your super nutrition. Now, if you're a little bit older and you tend towards dry skin like I do, then you're going to want to add something on top. So this is my F109 night cream. Amazing at night. And I must admit, I also use it during the day. It's just another one of these like it's both lightweight and also really nourishing, which is, it's like thick but thin. I don't know how to describe it because it has hyaluronic acid in it. It also has a little bit of the retinol. It's not as strong as this one. I think this one's at 1.5%. So you're going to get the retinol effect. You're going to get hyaluronic acid. And you also have ceramides in this cream. So it's going to seal everything in for a perfect, amazing night cream. And then I also have, for those of you who want something really super lightweight, this F18 is a hyaluronic acid serum. So what this does is when you put it on your face, it pulls all the moisture from the world around you and draws it in. So it also has a ton of water from different rose extracts in it. So it's just going to super hydrate your skin. But if you use that one, you need to put another cream on top. And the one I recommend for that is F20. This is a rose ceramide cream. Ceramide, it creates a lipid boundary. Lipid is fat that seals in the hyaluronic acid. So this is a good combination if you're looking for something lightweight, refreshing, that's definitely going to plump, tone, hydrate, and refine your skin. Now, no matter which one you're using, I highly recommend you use the F34. So this is a gentle daily resurfacing rose face scrub, and this is going to give you that baby soft skin. It's going to get rid of all the little bumps here. It's going to tone, tighten, lift, and hydrate your skin. So when you use any of these combinations, what you will see is you'll begin to get a much more positive gene expression in the way that your skin grows back every 28 to 40 days. Because why is it not growing back better? In my 30s, my skin looked way worse than now. So it can be changed. Yes, you have to do some stuff. And that's where it comes down to the karma. Yeah. And this is where that principle in Ayurveda is so strong. The karmic actions you take in your day to day life determine kind of what you wake up with. And I know we don't always like this. We want that pill or that surgery. But when we talk about epigenetics, which is this 90% of how your DNA shows up in this world, this really comes down to what are you doing? Now, if all day you're scrunching your lips and you're super tight and you're all stressed out, well, maybe first you should learn to not do those things and not live with that emotional response. Like that's a good idea, is to say, hey, if my life is making me feel stressed out, making me feel bad, I'm holding all this tension, maybe I need to revisit either my response to my life or the life I'm in. And that you have to kind of look for yourself. Like, am I walking a path I don't actually want? Or am I responding to a path that I want and creating all this inner tension? And this is where we do recommend meditation, specifically emotional meditations. But if you're scrunching your lips all day, at least go home, hydrate, put some fresh nourishment, spend 10 minutes undoing those lip lines with this or with this and with these. Now, our products happen to be the most bioavailable that exists in the world because they're fresh. They're made fresh every week. That means I don't have to put all of the any other formulation has a good 20 to 60% of it, or maybe even more than that, is just stabilizers, fillers, things to, and then you get like your little bit of actives and you get a bunch of preservatives. It's not going to make you pretty. That's not nutrition. That's like you take a salad and you, oh, want a fresh salad? Well, it was fresh 6 months ago, but I preserved it and stabilized it. So here it is. It's really not, you're not going to connect with that. It's not going to be amazing. So what I want to say is, like, just take a moment and think about, hey, what can I do in that 28 to 40 day cycle to create an improvement in my skin? And this applies to the whole body skin. So I have these amazing, this is my F33 Indigo Blue Dream Scrub. So this will resurface your entire body skin. And if you haven't done a scrub in a long time, you wouldn't imagine like how soft and silky you'll feel. This has a bunch of like nutrition. It's going to go deep into your cells. It's going to remove like dead skin cells. You kind of come out feeling like a new person. So all of this is totally available to you when it comes down to regenerating your life. And we're talking about Ayurveda and the mechanism that's in Ayurveda of epigenetics. Um, you want to take a look and say, how stressed am I all the time? Do something about it. Am I taking care of my skin? Do something about it. Am I taking care of my diet and nutrition? Do something about it. So look at these areas of your life. Your digestion. Yeah, how is your diet? Are you regularly having bloated or upset tummy? Take a moment and have a look, because all of these components we know how to modify in Ayurveda. And these will change the expression of your genes in real life. So instead of growing older and more decrepit, you can reverse that at whatever point you're at. Yeah, if you haven't taken care of yourself for 40, 50, 60, 70 years, you have a little bit more of an uphill battle. But so what? You have a body, we can take care of it. We can make it better. You just have to understand it's not a surgery or a pill. So it's not going to be immediate. It's going to work with that cycle of regeneration. And I am here to support you. I hope this was clear. Wherever you found this video, feel free to contact me with any questions, and have a blessed day.